Hey guys, it's Derek. So last week didn't do a video, was actually on vacation with my wife. So we're gonna do this weekend, well this week here I should say. We're gonna conclude the events of June 26th of 1863. Now, we discussed in prior videos, I guess you could kind of say it's a three-part series in a sense. The first video covered General Early's advancement at Gettysburg, burning Caledonia Furnace. Second video discussed his march actually in Gettysburg towards York, dispersing the 26th Emergency Militia and having some action west and a little bit north of town. And I did mention that there was some action south of town, which is going to be the focus of today's video. Now, as you see in the monument here in front of us is a monument to the 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry, Company B, actually, which at the time on June 26th was Bell's, Captain Robert Bell's Adams County Cavalry. And you see a name on the bottom of the monument that says George W. Sandoe. Now, a little bit about George. He was born in November of 1842. And he's actually originally from the Carroll County area and his family would settle in Mount Joy area, which is a little bit south of Gettysburg, and spent his life in the area. And he would avoid the war for, well, the duration of it, at least leading up to Gettysburg. He actually even married on February 19th of 1863 to his wife Diana, and they were actually expecting their first child, so they were starting their family. Well, Lee invaded Pennsylvania. The call for troops was brought out, and George would actually join up on June 19th of 1863. He would actually enlist that day. He would not get mustered in though until June 23rd. So he gets mustered in June 23rd, and just 3 days later, he is in action in defense of his hometown. Now, it was discussed in the last video, Bell's cavalry was actually attached to the 26th Pennsylvania Militia at Gettysburg, and they met Gordon's brigade and the 35th Battalion of Virginia Cavalry west of town along Chambersburg Pike, and they were dispersed rather quickly. Well, when he came back into town, they organized around the Rock Creek area, and Bell ordered every man for himself, return to your homes. So they dispersed, and Sandoe and a private William Lightner would actually travel down the Baltimore Pike, which one would assume that they were heading towards. I'm assuming Lightner lived down that way. Obviously, Sandoe lived down towards this way. Actually, where we're at is we're actually right beside the road. We're actually along the Baltimore Pike, I should say. We're actually right beside the road that goes the back way to Spangler Spring, and just down south of us, maybe about 50 or so yards, is actually the old mini golf course that's out along Baltimore Pike. So Sandoe and Lightner came down to this area after all the action west of town, and they came to the area of McAllister's Mill, which is near where we're at. Well, little did they know that there was actually some troops from Elijah White's 35th Virginia Cavalry, which was the same exact unit that actually routed them moments earlier in the area. They came into contact, and as Lightner and Sandoe made their escape, Sandoe pulled his revolver and fired off a few shots in defense of themselves while they tried to make their escape. They came upon a fence. Lightner and his horse jumped the fence and cleared it and kept on going. Sandoe, unfortunately, was not so lucky. Now, I found one source that says this horse stopped and threw him off before they got to the fence. Another one said that he jumped the fence and was eventually thrown from his horse. Either way, however it happened, he was thrown off his horse, and then he was picked off, was shot in the head, and left for dead. He was eventually found lying on the road, or along the road, I should say. Again, another source has said that Mr. McAllister found him, but I only found one source that actually said that, so I cannot confirm or deny it. Either way, he was found, and he was buried in the Mount Joy Lutheran Cemetery, which is actually south of town along Tawnytown Road. It's actually maybe about 2.5 miles away from the Tawnytown Road exit off of Route 15. You actually go south instead of going north like you would go towards town. His marker is still there. There's an interesting thing on his gravestone, and it's actually said on the 21st Company B monument here. George actually has the distinction of being the very first Union casualty taken in the Gettysburg area. Now, granted, this is a couple days before the actual battle happened, but his unit was eventually absorbed and would become Company B of 21st Pennsylvania Cavalry, even though they would not be mustered in until August of 1863, a month after the battle. The unit would be mustered out in February, and then another, they would actually were under oath for 6 months. They would actually be mustered back in, those who wanted to rejoin up, and they would stay in from February till the end of the war. Under the listing, Sandoe is considered KIA from this unit, even though it was not mustered in yet. That's what makes this and this other monument very unique here on the Gettysburg battlefields, because this unit technically, if you want to get technical, did not fight in the Battle of Gettysburg. It was actually not even mustered in until after the battle was over. So, George Sandoe is forever known in history as the first Union casualty taken at Gettysburg. He would be a precursor to the carnage that would come within the coming days, but that is a story for another time.